Welcome to the Create, Connect, Convert.co podcast, where big dreams and bold moves come to life. If you are an innovative, legacy-driven female business owner or entrepreneur who's here to grow, glow, and get it done, this podcast is for you. This isn't just another business podcast. Oh no, here we've got four powerhouse women, each bringing a unique flavor of expertise to help you sharpen your brand, build profits, and bring that much desired freedom to your life. It's like having four mentors in your pocket. We're here to laugh, to get real, and to remind you that business is meant to be fulfilling, fun, and full of possibilities. So wherever you are today, grab this moment and fuel your creativity, because Create, Connect, Convert.co is here to help you build the business and a life you've been working for.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to this latest episode of the Create, Connect, Convert.co podcast. We are so happy to have you here with us again. My name is Kristy Crippen. I'm the founder of Collaborative Partners Administrative Services, and I would love to introduce my fellow co-host today, Regina Gray. Can we kick things off with you?
Sure. My name is Regina Gray. The name of my business is Right Brain Loves Left. I am a digital marketing manager and educator for the interior design and construction industries.
Thank you, Regina. Carolyn Choate, we would love it if you could introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Carolyn Choate, a lover of sales funnels and owner of financiallyfreeauthor.com.
Thank you, Carolyn. Laura Templeton, bring it home for us.
Thank you so much for that. I'm Laura Templeton with 30 Second Success, helping amazing small business owners and professionals create the content and have the brand communication strength with the help of ChatGPT in order to reach their ideal clients.
Thank you, ladies. And as a recap, I'm Kristy Crippen. I'm a virtual administrator, and I founded Collaborative Partners Administrative Services because I love partnering with overwhelmed entrepreneurs and small business owners to take them from feeling overwhelmed to overjoyed in their business. Today, we're going to be diving into a critically important topic that is so spot on for business owners everywhere, and that is streamlining your operations for growth. And I will say that when I have conversations with people, it could be with my clients, it could be in a virtual coffee. Also, when I do research in terms of what do entrepreneurs and small business owners struggle with, one of the biggest things that they struggle with is how to streamline their operations in their business. Because we all know that when we do that, the more streamlined we are, it means that we're more efficient. It means that we're saner. It means that we're more joyful in our business. It also means that we're more productive and also more profitable. So what I would love to do, let's kick this conversation off. I would love to go around the room. Regina, I'll start with you. Why is streamlining important to you in your business? And what does it look like uniquely for you in your own business operations?
It's like up there in importance. And not only does it save you money, but it saves you time. So for me, I literally every quarter, I'm like, how can I automate tasks? How can I streamline my business? How even can I reduce my subscriptions per month? So all of that is incredibly important to me. I think it doesn't even go within my industry. I think it just blankets all industries and all small business owners. So that's what I do. And I do that per quarter religiously.
I love that you do that on a quarterly basis, because I think for a lot of business owners, that's something they forget to do. So that is something that we can easily set that reminder for ourselves, that at the beginning of the new quarter, when everything is fresh, just take that time, carve that time out to do that refresh and look at everything through fresh eyes in your business. Carolyn, in your business, what does streamlining look like for you? And why does it matter to you?
Streamlining just makes my brain happy. Like, if there's a system, a process, a step by step, it just makes me go, oh, yes. And I think part of that is just the confidence that, like, okay, I know what to do, and I know what the result is going to be when I follow this step, 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 step. And so it's like it reduces so much stress in business to be confident about those systems and processes.
Mm. Thank you for that. You're absolutely spot on when you talk about the step-by-step process oriented those tools in our they're incredible tools in our business, and it helps to usher in that safety and security, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Laura, I would love for you to round out the same question. In your business, tell us about streamlining and how does it look for you? Are there things that are unique to your business as far as streamlining, in addition to things that are kind of blanket across the entrepreneurial landscape?
This question, because I think streamlining means different, has different meanings to so many people, right? So I think for me, streamlining is really has really helped me gain more clarity in my business. It has taken me from wasting so much time on menial tasks to actually knowing, being more productive in the work that I need to get done. As you know, I moved to Florida 4 years ago, and I want to be able to enjoy being outside. So for me to figure out what systems I needed to set in place, what tasks could be automated, it has, that streamlining has meant the world to me, to give me the time freedom to enjoy the lifestyle that I have. It also helps me to engage with my clients on a more intentional level, right? It really has elevated my relationship with my clients because I have systems in place. I know where we should be. I have measurements, like when we're working together, where should we be? If something doesn't is a little bit off, what do we need to do to bring it to the next step? What are some of the challenges that we might be facing and need to be addressed?
Mm-hmm.
So systems and streamlining are really imperative, especially in the coaching world when you're working with a client. So it helps you to, you get into a routine and you know where you need to be with your clients. And that happens over time. It doesn't always happen in the very beginning because you're still experimenting and exploring what it's going to look like for you to work with your clients. But over time you start to see patterns, and when you see those patterns and you start to recognize them and then you set them into a system, it makes your ability to work, number one, more effectively with your clients, more efficiently with your clients. It also gives you the ability to add more clients to your schedule because now you know how to serve them more effectively.
Mm.
And it really is really impactful when you have those systems in place. And that's what I feel like streamlining really is all about, is how do you systematize the processes that you implement in your work?
I love that. Thank you, Laura. You brought up so many great points there. Obviously, as business owners, we enter into business so that we can make a difference in the lives of others through our products and or services. And so to be able to have the clarity and the mental wherewithal to continually evaluate, are our clients and or customers getting the most out of working with us, is huge.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also viewed it from the holistic perspective of, it's not just how streamlining affects my business operations, but then also my life as a whole, right? Because how fantastic for you and your family. You live in this incredible state. You have the luxury of being able to be outdoors in really lovely temperatures. Well, I was going to say it's not so lovely in the summer the summer season, but it's quite hot. But you live in this beautiful place and you want to maximize that. So I love that you answered that from a very holistic perspective. And I love also what you said about the patterns, which leads me into my next question. So how do each one of you know, and again, I'll go around and ask each one of you, how do you know when your business requires more streamlining, what are those telltale signs that make themselves known to you that indicate, hey, my business is in need of some tweaks, or maybe over here it needs a major overhaul? So what are those things that really pop up for you that give you that impetus to say, okay, I need to make some changes? Carolyn, let's lead off with you this time, please.
I think it's like when you're feeling like a chicken with its head cut off. You're running this way and that. There's a franticness to that energy. That's when I'm like, okay, how can I make this into a system? Because I need that calmness back, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when we are operating our business, but also living our life from that heightened state of that feeling frantic, what does that do to our nervous system? What does that do to our daily energy reserve? So thank you for sharing that. Laura, how about for you? What are those telltale signs that make themselves known to you and you say, oh, yeah, I could do with some streamlining?
I think, I evaluate on a regular basis, is what I'm doing in alignment with where I want to go. One of the things that I do is I have a 10-year plan and I know where I want to be in 10 years. So I back that out. I've mentioned before on the podcast that I love the book, The 12-Week Year, for that reason, because it helped me to break things down. Where do I want to be in 10 years? Where do I want to be in 5 years? Where do I want to be in a year? And how can I chunkify that down into 3 months, right? What are the tasks? And when I'm feeling task heavy, that's when I know, oh, there's some things that I may either A, need to let go of because they're not serving me well, or B, hire somebody else to help me with it, right? Or just simply, is there a better system for me to do this? Is there a better way? Evaluate if there's a better way for me to do whatever it is that's, feel like is taking up a lot of my time. And I think that's the biggest thing is constantly be in that evaluative state. And so I look at it just like Regina, like every 3 months, right? I'm looking at it from the perspective of where am I at? What am I accomplishing? Am I meeting my goals? And if not, what's sucking up my time and keeping me from doing that?
Mm-hmm. I love that because it's so mission critical to see what is a proper use of your time, but then also what's not. I love that. Thank you, Laura. Regina, how
Yeah.
about for you?
Mine comes from a more emotional place. It's when I'm working and I'm like, come on, there's got to be a better way to do this, or if I'm doing and let me tell you guys know, I love tedious tasks. I love them. I love those detail things. I could be a data entry if I could, I just love that. But if something is jumping out at me and it's like, you're taking too long, this is taking too long, this is just tiny little task, it's just too long. That's when I start thinking, how can I better this? What are some things that I can put in place to automate this? Can I design a system that if this, then that, and create that kind of system? So I come from that emotionally. I mean, I should plan, oh, this, but it's really when I'm frustrated and ready to throw something at the laptop. Not really.
Yeah, I love what you said though about the if this then that. That's one of the things that I've learned from Carolyn in automating with funnels, right? Those automations have changed my life. So I'm not constantly creating emails and doing all the follow-up. It's like there's a funnel for that, there's a workflow for that. So the if this then that, like how do you automate is crucial. And I'm loving being able to do more of that with the platform that I'm using. So I thank you for that reminder, Regina. I think that's really important sometimes to just look at it like how can we automate? There's so many opportunities now to automate things that normally would keep us in that constant
You
need.
don't have to be manually doing it all, or
Yep.
depending on your memory. Like that's another good reason to automate things. Is like so you're not having to depend on you remembering to send that email or update that code or whatever it is. Yeah.
Laura, thank you for touching on the if this then that component of what Regina shared, because that, I think, is such a great reminder for all of our amazing listeners. And I think something else that you said, Regina, that really I would love to highlight is you talked about the emotional component, right?
Yeah.
Because how many emotions do we feel as human beings every day, from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed? And I think that it can be so incredibly easy for us to just brush things under the proverbial rug and think, oh, it's normal to feel this way. And there are times when that holds true, yes, but yet those emotions are powerful indicators of, oh, something's not right here. Something is throwing me off balance. Something is having me feel less than. Something is having me feel the very opposite of vibrant and robust in my business. So when you can pause and really go inward and listen to the emotions that are coming up within us, that is a great start for how we can bring about that change.
Yeah, because if you've always done it some way, it doesn't mean that that's the best way.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because I always tell people, when we start our businesses, we're babes in the woods. We're green. We're trying to figure things out on the fly. And that's even with planning, and, and everything is so new, and, we're duct taping things together. And so then as you progress through your business, it's understandable that maybe you're doing things the same way as you did when you first started your business, and you haven't refined that process or procedure yet. Or maybe you don't even need to be doing it anymore, and you're not realizing that. So that leads me into our last question for this episode. What recommendations and takeaways can each one of you provide to our listeners that will help them to usher in more streamlining into their respective businesses? What are things that have worked for you? And maybe some things that you tried that you went, that didn't work the way I had hoped. So, Laura, can I lead off with you this time? I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I had to think about that one. I think the biggest thing for me, and I really, looked at this over the past year, is to simplify, right? Really understand what your value ladder is, what that looks like when, we've talked on different episodes about, your funnel and the steps to your funnel, but the value ladder is very much, what steps are you taking your ideal client? What journey do you want to take your ideal client on? Have a deep understanding of that, and don't overcomplicate it. Right. I think sometimes entrepreneurs, small business owners, we are creative people, right? It's just inherent in who we are. It's why we don't work in corporate, because we are just these creative souls that need to be unleashed, right?
Yep.
But sometimes the creative souls that get unleashed, it's like, now all of a sudden I've created all this stuff, right? I've created all this stuff, and now I got to put it all out there. And you make yourself crazy putting so much out there that you start to confuse your audience. So when you simplify it and say, okay, this leads to this, leads to this, leads to this, it should be like a 4-step process, right? That's what I'm trying to break mine down to. I know that my process, when somebody comes to my class, then, I'm going to invite them either to have a one-on-one call with me, or join my hub, the brand success hub, or, step into the bigger picture as the rapid results coaching. Right. So even for create, connect, convert.co, we've got plans. We know what the process is, right? We know that we want to serve our audience on a deeper level, but we need to be very clear and simplistic in what our offers are. And that helps you gain, and that actually helps you streamline your business. When you go, okay, this is what I want to do. This is where I want people to go. How am I going to get them there? And really being clear on that. You've got amazing stuff. I know everybody has amazing stuff, and I want to love on all of it. What happens when you have so much amazing stuff that you're offering to your clients? They don't know what to pick, and therefore they don't, and you lose them.
If it's too busy,
Right.
they don't see anything at
Yes.
all.
Right.
And not trying to be
Right.
everything to everybody. I've definitely fallen into that trap of like, can you do this? Sure. Can you do this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Spread yourself way
Yeah.
too thin.
Yeah. And it can actually confuse your audience as to what exactly you do.
And it
Right.
burns you out.
So
It burns you out.
yes, does. You're
Mhm.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Laura, thank you. I love that you talked about clarity, and not just for your ideal client and for your audience, but that clarity that's so important to you as a business owner, because that helps
Mhm.
preserve your energy, it helps preserve your sanity, and what a beautiful gift to give yourself. So,
Yeah.
Laura, thank you for sharing. Regina, I would love to hear what recommendations and takeaways can you offer to our listeners in terms of how they could further streamline their own businesses.
Okay, so I have two, and I'm going to hit upon them very lightly. The first is email efficiency. If you can, create, if you're writing the same email time and time again, use a template.
Mhm.
If you know that you want to see something, like I have a newsletters tab, all the newsletters that come in go into that tab. So I know that like on Saturday mornings, I'm reading my newsletters, and things like that. So whatever your email program is, find efficiencies even in how you write, but that's a whole other podcast. And then the second thing is something I've started to do this year, and it was because of something you started doing, Kristy, is creating standard operating procedures. Where, okay, if this is happening, these are the steps, and these are the steps I follow. So I'm not trying to remember, even in just onboarding a client, okay, what is it that I need? I need whether they like emojis, I need their voice, I need, this, I need that, for their social media management. So having standard operating procedures, even if they're not super formal, you just have them for yourself is so key. That has those two things have streamlined a lot for me.
Mm. I
Awesome.
love that you mentioned SOPs because I look at them in the same way that people talk about a business plan, how a business plan is a living, breathing document, and what a gift it is to your business. SOPs to me are very much the same in that they are such a gift to your business, but also to you. And they're things that can be changed as your business continues to grow, evolve, and change over time. You can continually review them and say, okay, now I'm using this program here, so now that eliminates steps 2 through 5, or oh, I see here how I can combine these 2 steps and then shorten the process as a whole. So I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you, Regina.
Yo.
Car Carolyn, bring us home. What t- what works for you in your business that you can share with our incredible listeners?
I wanted to share a metaphor that I heard that I it just really, really speaks to me. Lisa Woodruff, that's Organized 365. She does stuff about like home organizing mostly, but she had this way of putting it that really clicked with me, which was that you should be a train conductor, not driving a car. A car is taking you like, oh, I'm gonna go here. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go do that thing. Oh, I'm gonna do that thing. Whereas a train is like, there are stations. The train always stops at these stations. And so once you get on that train, it's going to go through this path. And I just loved that as a way of thinking about routines and the things that have those step-by-step processes, that you're on the train, you're going to those stops, you're not getting distracted, you're not going somewhere else until you're off the train.
Holy cow, I love that.
Mm.
Great analogy. Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. That's really good.
I was a literature major in college, Carolyn. I love me a great metaphor. Thank you for that. That was amazing. And that's how you approach working in
Everything.
your own business.
Hmm. And like Regina said, like the if-then statements, I loved those in school. So I'm always like, ooh, can I build it to be like, if this thing happens, then it's gonna trigger this list of things, and like automating that, like that's fun. That's play.
Hmm. I love that you use the word play,
Yeah.
because we associate the word play with childhood,
Mm.
right? And yet it's so vital for us as human beings, no matter what stage of life we're at, no matter where we are on life's journey. And so the more that we can incorporate play into our everyday, the more creative we can be in our businesses, the more fulfilled we are in our businesses. So thank you for sharing that, Carolyn. I appreciate that. In our closing minutes of this episode, do any of you ladies have any parting words of wisdom that you would love to share with our audience?
Yeah, I would love to just share I love this conversation because streamlining is so important, and more importantly, it's impactful in a way that can change your life. It can change your business, but more importantly, it affects your life as well, right? Because when things are humming along really well in your business, things go a little easier at home. But one of the things I want to say thank you to you, Kristy, because this is something that you remind me of a lot of times is make sure that you have people in your circle that if you're struggling with something and it just doesn't feel right, that you can have a conversation with somebody else and say, how do you do this?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I know you've said that in previous episodes, and I think that's so important to remind us, like, trust the people in your circle to give you advice. You don't have to take it, but at least find out how someone else may be doing a similar task in their business and how they're streamlining it. Maybe that's something you can implement for yourself.
Exactly. That's such a great point, Laura, because I know for myself, I've had so many conversations just like that over the years. And there have been many times where I've kind of leaned forward and said, can I steal that for my business? And the person starts laughing like, of course.
Yeah.
And right. And then
Heck yeah.
I incorporate that into my own business. And then there have been times where I've said, I see how 80% of that process can be applied to my own business. What are those subtle tweaks that I need to make so that it fully works for my business? And then there have also been those times where I've listened and my inner knowing said, I love that it works for her. How could what kind of a system like that could I come up for myself? So it's like it was the springboard for something new to take place. It was like all I needed to hear was that those words of wisdom and that have that conversation, and then it opened up that door for me. So Laura, thank you for that. That's such valuable feedback.
Well, I appreciate you asking these great questions that we've had today. It's been a good conversation. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And one one bit of wisdom that I would share with our audience is really think about when you are streamlining your processes and procedures in your business, look at what are the things that only you can do. What is in your zone of genius? Because everything else we can look at, okay, how do we automate it? How do we outsource it? Who can you delegate that to? And then how can something be streamlined that could save more time? And then the other thing that just came up for me is make a list, keep a running list of those things that need to be streamlined in your business. Because right now you might be listening to this episode thinking, oh my word, I need to do so much streamlining in my business and I feel overwhelmed and I just want to shut down. And that is a normal reaction. But the four of us are imploring you to stand tall and just breathe through it, clear your mind, and just start a list. Just what is the first thing that comes into your head and put it down onto that list. And then that will open up the floodgates for the next thing to come and the next and the next. And then once you get that list going, then start to prioritize it. What's the most mission critical thing that you need to streamline in your business? And do I need help with that? And if you do, who can you reach out to for that help? So, ladies, I want to say thank you so much for sharing all of your brilliance and your wisdom with us today and with our wonderful listeners. And We love having you on your journey with all of us with each of our episodes, and we can't wait for our next episode of the Create, Connect, Convert.co podcast, where we will share more tips, more wisdom, more insight, and dive into the next great topic. We'll see you then.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Create, Connect, Convert.co. We hope you're feeling inspired, empowered, and ready to make your next bold move. Remember, the journey doesn't end here. Head over to createconnectconvert.co to download our latest resources, sign up for our upcoming events, or hop on the wait list for our exclusive mastermind community. There's a seat at the table waiting just for you. Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to click like and subscribe. We'll see you back here next week to dive into another game-changing conversation. And here's a little something to carry you until then. Keep creating, keep connecting, and never stop converting your dreams into reality.